Hi, welcome to the 50th episode of the Personal Finance Podcast for Doctors. Thank you so much for your love and support. Today, we have a very special guest with us, someone who took a very bold decision early on in his career than most doctors would. We have today with us Dr. Sachin Kolhe, a very well-known ophthalmologist having 25 years of work experience. He sold his practice to the Agarwal group of eye hospitals, marking a significant change in his career. Now at the age of 50, he is not only financially free, but he is also free to follow his creative interests. Let us hear about his story and the learnings from it. Welcome, Dr. Sachin.
Thank you, Chanda. Thank you for inviting me on this podcast.
So, Dr. Sachin, let's talk about your journey.
Sure.
So tell me, how did this thought of selling your practice even occur to you? It doesn't occur to most doctors. I've met more than 2,000 doctors.
True that.
So then how did you think about this first?
Well, Chanda, I'm into practice since past 24 years now. So to be really frank about it, we are trained clinicians. I'm an eye surgeon, I'm an eye clinician, I'm a physician. So I know what is best for my patient from the clinical aspect. But unfortunately, we are not trained anywhere in our 10 years of medical practice to be a good administrator or to have the skills which are sufficient to run a nursing home or the skills to run the paramedical aspect of the medical field which I am trained into. So initial about 4 to 5 years of my practice, I was very happy because there were not many allied things to do. I am there, my patient is there, I am treating my patients, I come back home, I didn't have my own clinic. I was attached to many nursing homes here and there. So I used to run around many centers. But after about 5 to 6 years of my practice, once I realized that I'm doing good, and once I started my own practice with my own place, the stress of running the practice along with its allied things came into picture. Managing your own staff, managing the legalities, managing the licenses, managing the HR aspect of it, the staff salaries, the maintenance of the clinic. So these all things, they actually started taking a toll once the practice grew. So eventually 17, 18, 20 years down the line, as and how the practice grew, as and how the number of patients grew, my staff grew. Once I realized that I am not really happy now doing the things which I wanted to do. Though I was very happy as far as the clinical aspect of it was concerned, treating my patients was concerned, but running the clinic, I realized I was not made for it. So that is the time when I realized that I need some help from some professional people to guide as to how to run the show and to in fact come in, step in, help me run my show, wherein I will only do my work and they will do their work which is supposed to be only handling the practice. So to the extent few years down the line, once my practice started growing, I realized one fine day I was evaluating my patients and I had a bout of anxiety. I felt a bit of choking sense. I started perspiring. I just sat in my clinic and I asked my patients to go. I just asked my staff to call my wife. Luckily for me, she was practicing on the floor above my clinic. She came down and when my blood pressure was evaluated, it was 160, 110.
Wow.
So that is the first time I realized that I was possibly an hypertensive and possibly the stress is taking a toll on me. And then I realized, yes, which I hadn't. I was a bit obese, I was overweight, I was 74 kgs that time. And obviously the way the things were looking at, I could see maybe 7-8 years down the line, the picture was not very green. So that is the time when I realized, yes, that was a wake-up call. And from that time onwards, I started becoming a bit more serious as far as my health is also concerned. And of course, I started evaluating my options to run the clinic a bit more efficiently.
All right. So I have also talked to a lot of doctors, right? And I think everyone has told me this, that, it becomes stressful. You're working 17, 18 hours, you're working under stressful conditions. There are doctors who've told us, like, we are daily wage earners. We've seen our children only horizontal.
Yes.
you know. So I completely understand. But at the same time, I think a lot of doctors say that this is what they're trained for, or this is how it's meant to be.
Right.
But you're one of those few who said, no, this is not how it's meant to be.
Right.
So once you thought about this, what were your next steps? What should a doctor do if he ever comes across this situation?
Well, it frankly comes and boils down to the personality of a person, how he or she can run the show along with their colleagues if possible. So I'm the kind of person, I'm not able to delegate my job. I am a perfectionist. I want the work to be done the way it is to be done. So possibly I'll poke my nose into each an aspect of the clinical and non-clinical stuff which goes into my practice.
Which could be the case with most doctors.
Possibly yes, possibly yes. But then I know few of my colleagues who are extremely settled. They are very clear about what they want to do, and they will be doing only those particular things which they want to do, and the other things they can delegate it to somebody else. So such people, I guess, they are happy and they may be able to run their show a bit better than what we all can do. But majority of my colleagues who are like me, possibly we may not be able to run the show the way it is supposed to be run. So herein I feel we all should take help of professionals. If not from the corporate world, at least make a point to hire an administrative who can run the show, and don't poke your nose into his or her work which they are supposed to do and which they are trained to do. So I also tried running the show with my colleagues. I enrolled a few of my colleagues who were specialized in other fields of ophthalmology like retina, like glaucoma, like refractive surgeries. And they were with me for a few months, maybe a few years as well.
Like a group practice?
Like a group practice, but not actually a group practice, but as I am the main person there, or maybe the medical admin. And the other faculties, they come on a visiting basis. I mean, a retina surgeon would come maybe once or twice in a week. A glaucoma surgeon would come maybe once or twice in a week. But somehow I realized that was not, I was not able to run the show quite efficiently, because there were many hiccups as far as the payments are concerned, as far as the patient flow is concerned. We were not able to satisfy their needs, because once some specialist comes into a picture, they need to be paid well. And with the amount of small practice which I had, possibly I was not able to cater those many patients as to what they wanted. And so it was a no-win situation.
Okay.
So I faltered there, and that is the time I realized, no, I mean, it's not going my way. I have to have some alternative wherein somebody else comes to my help.
Okay. So you tried group practice a couple of times before
Yes.
you realized that, okay, it is going to be a one-man show, but you rather have a professional
Yes.
come in and help you.
Yes.
Is that so?
Yes. So not only professional coming and help me, but coming to help me grow my practice, coming to maybe possibly teach me how to enroll other people into my practice and make the practice grow along with me. All right.
So if one were to sell his or her practice, what would you say the important 2 or 3 steps are? What should they prep themselves up with? Because a lot of doctors who are going to be listening to this or seeing this might have some thoughts on this, and they might start thinking about valuing their practice. So what are the things they should keep in mind?
Most important thing is to have your patient database with you right from the day you started your practice. Unfortunately, when we started about 24 years back, we didn't have any help of softwares that time. But now there are n number of softwares available across the faculties. You can have your patient database there, you can have your operative database there, clinical database there. So once a corporate comes into the picture, when they want to evaluate you, they would like to evaluate you in 4-5 major aspects. First of all, what is the patient footfall that you are catering to? What is the kind of services that your center is giving to the patient? What are your finances? How much you earn? And your legalities involved, your attachments and tie-ups with the insurance companies. So these things, they have to be meticulously maintained in the software. It becomes very easy for them to evaluate your practice, and to come at a valuation of your center if at all they want to take the practice into their under their wings. So this is one of the most important aspects, that you should have your patient database with you.
So what are the documents typically they collect?
So past 3 to 4 years of financial documents, your surgical registers, your OPD registers. So these few things, and your your financial dealings with the in my case, with the people whom I dealt with as far as the lenses are concerned, your vendors, so all the expenses of the clinic, operational expenses, and your income. So they have to be meticulously maintained.
Okay. And every corporate who wants to take over, they would have some slab, what kind of a practice they want to take over. Is there a turnover cap?
Yes. So I dealt with 3 of the corporates who were into mergers and acquisitions that time. So each and every corporate had their own minimum turnover requirement for them to even consider whether they want to take your practice over or not. So it all depends from corporate to corporate, and you have to fall into that particular slot which they are looking at.
Okay. So when you decided to give your practice up, we were open to it. How did you go about looking for a person who would take your practice?
So luckily for me, being from ophthalmology, mine was the only faculty that time wherein the corporate seemed to be interested in.
Acha.
So a corporate from North India, they first came onto me, and they showed interest in taking over my practice. So in fact, I was mentally prepared for the same, and I wanted to know the details as to how these guys work, because it was all a new field for me. Though I had friends from the corporate world, I had learnt a lot from them as far as the way the corporates, they undergo a merger and acquisition. But as far as single practice is concerned, they were not knowing about the details, and neither was I. So I wanted to go ahead and see as to how the things work. So the first guys who came to me, I just said yes to them initially, just to understand how they go on evaluating your practice, and at the same time what are their steps involved and what I should keep myself prepared if at all I want to really go into the details later on.
Okay. So you didn't go with the first person who approached?
I didn't go with the first person because I just wanted to know the details, and I wanted to know whether the sum which is being offered to me as far as the evaluation is concerned, is it the right sum? Because after I was valued at a particular sum, I again went back to my corporate friends. I told them, well, buddy, these are the things which they have been offering me. They said, fine, let us wait for some time. Let us see for more offers and see if at all they all offer you the same way. And if the valuation of your clinic by 2 or 3 of them falls into the same category, possibly we are there. So maybe a few lakhs here and there won't really make much of a difference. So the first person I said no, not only as from the aspect of valuation is concerned, but I was not very happy with the way I felt they are treating me as such. I mean, when you want to associate with somebody for a long term, your wavelength has to match.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
therein I actually felt maybe in certain aspects, maybe ethics were not as far as what I wanted them to follow. So I was not very keen to go with them in the first go.
It's very interesting you say that, because I think most doctors, even when they look at having someone in their clinic to work with them, the first thing is that the wavelength has to match, your ethics have to match, because it's a marriage.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So why did the second one match more, the Agarwal group?
So the way they approached me was something which was very, very distinctly apart from the way I was approached earlier by the different corporate world. Right from day one, I was made the center of importance. They said, sir, we'll go the way you want the thing to be. We don't want to push our particular mindset onto you. We would like to understand the way you work. And based on your ethical practice, based on the way you practice, we'll be trying to help you to build your practice around you. So I was made the center stage, wherein my opinion was going to be honored the most, and based on my opinion, they would see to it that the practice goes further. So this was of a prime importance to me, because Chanda, my practice was like my baby. You know, I had grown that baby since past 24 years. I've seen it grow from steps to steps, and at a present juncture, I wanted it to be handed over to somebody who can actually nurture it further and take it to the heights wherein I won't be able to do it. So therein, my sense of ethics, my morality, and their professionalism. So everything should merge together, and then we could see a flourishing business thereafter. So that was what my concern was. And going with Agarwal's, I felt everything matched, and then ultimately I said yes to them.
Very good, because I'm sure when you were going through this journey, you would have spoken to some few of your colleagues or your peers.
Yes.
Were there any apprehensions from your fraternity?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, this was the first time ever. I mean, ophthalmology is the first clinical branch, if you would know, which are undergoing this purge in mergers and acquisitions, and it is yet not known to many people around, and of course my colleagues as well.
So Agarwal has almost like 22 centers now in
Almost 25 centers now in Mumbai alone.
in Mumbai alone.
And across the country and abroad as well, they are almost now acquired 187, 189 centers now.
Work.
So that speaks a lot about the chain. So my colleagues, the first thing was, why the hell do you want to throw away your name? That was the first thing, which was a stark first question which I would see from everybody. तू 20 साल से प्रैक्टिस कर रहा है, 22 साल से प्रैक्टिस कर रहा है, your mother is a doctor, your father is a doctor, they have got such a good name in the community, and now you are a doctor, you are into this profession, and why the hell all of a sudden you just want to throw it? Because if you merge with these guys, your name is nowhere going to be there. So I was, yes, I mean, that did came to my mind, but frankly, Chanda, for me, my name was never the first thing to strike me when I thought of merging with them. My first concern was my practice should grow irrespective of my name. I do know that my name counts a lot, because in India per se, the doctor practice is name based. It is faith based. Unlike in Western countries wherein it's more of, hospital based. Ki I get a good treatment from this hospital, I've got a tie with this hospital. So no matter whosoever is there, they will go and take the treatment from that particular guy there. But in India is not so. In Bombay still it is the same thing. So people do come to a specific doctor, and if they don't find him or her there, they may not come forward. So I do realize this. In fact, they realized it more than I did.
All right.
So now the thing was, that's the reason why I loved them. Now the thing was, when they came up with naming the center, they put my name there. So they said, sir, though your center is called by the name I, Dr. Kolhe, but in the community, you are known by Dr. Sachin Kolhe. So Dr. Sachin Kolhe is your brand name, which we don't want to take it away from you and away from the center as well. So while branding the name, when putting up the boards and all outside, hoardings and all outside, they made it a point to say Dr. Agarwal's Eye Hospital with Dr. Sachin Kolhe, both same font size and both given the same importance. So that speaks a lot about the way they treat the doctors. So other thing which I forgot to tell, when they came and approached me, I was quite surprised, because they knew about my details more than possibly I could know about my own practice.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So that's how the corporates work, So they said, sir, you see so many patients in a day. You got no tie-ups with any of the hospitals, any of the insurance companies. In spite of that, your operative numbers, your OPD numbers, footfalls are so and so, and you're one of the top ranking so-called eye surgeons in the area. So when they threw the numbers to me, I was actually a bit taken aback, because they knew almost 100% as to what the figures which they threw at me, they matched with my figures as well.
So they've done their homework well.
They've done their homework very well, very well. Yeah. Benefits. So two most important benefits. First of all is a peace of mind. Initially when I was on my own, I used to work 8 to 9 hours in the clinic when I was with the patients, and 24/7 back of my mind when I was at home as well. So I never really was at peace, because even at home something or other used to come into my mind. Patient is he being attended well? OT का तैयारी हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा? Are the instruments being autoclaved well? Is the list being prepared? So all the admin work is to be going there in my mind every now and then. But now, post merger, I just work 8 hours in a day as far as the clinic is concerned. Once I'm back home, रात गई बात गई, I am just back home with my family, with my passion, and that's about it. So that's most important thing, that the peace of mind is there. I work only on those particular hours when I'm there in my clinic, not otherwise. And second most important, when I'm not in the clinic, I'm pursuing my hobbies. So I got ample of time for myself to pursue my hobbies, to be with my family, to be with my friends as well. So apart from these two major benefits, there are other benefits as well. For the patients, everything is available to him or her under one roof.
Cool.
So we as a team are now team of 8 doctors, which cater to all the fields in ophthalmology, right from anterior segment, right from retina, right from glaucoma, refractive surgery, oculoplasty, everything. So for patient, it's very beneficial.
Everything under one.
Absolutely. The patient doesn't have to go anywhere, and nor are we really now much bothering about whether the patient has to be referred to some other center, because we don't give the same treatment here now. So for us also it's very important and very easy to just ask the patient to wait for some time and show to the consultant nearby in the sitting in the next consulting room. So that's of a major benefit to the patient. Other benefit for us is we have got the freedom of maybe taking some leaves on our own, not worrying about whether the hospital will be running or not. So we can go on a short vacation or maybe long vacation as well, wherein the clinic still runs, the patient are being taken care of. So that was never earlier when I was on my own.
Correct.
Other benefits, well, the legalities are also being taken care of. If at all, God forbid, there are some complications, we have got efficient team of doctors to handle those complications, which was never there. We never had this umbrella when we were on our own in a solo practice. So these added benefits really looks very green, and it is one of the charm of having a corporate run the business as well.
So it makes your practice very strong. It gives a comfort to the patient as well, that even if you're not there, there are other people with you who will be taken care of. Awesome. So see, when it comes to finance, right? So as a doctor and as an entrepreneur, because you had your own practice and now you're also running the Agarwal Center, how did you take your financial decisions earlier before MFA came into your life? You were still having a flourishing practice, you were taking money decisions. How would you take those decisions?
Well, all the doctors for that matter, not all but majority of doctors are like me. We are not trained in handling our finances. Of course, we are never trained in the medical college as well. And we go by the dictum as to, follow your parents the way they were doing earlier. So maybe FDs and maybe real estate, and these were the areas wherein we used to invest our money. And initially for first 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, we were not earning much. These really didn't bother much. But then as and how you start mingling with, your friends from other fraternities, from financial fraternity, you realize, well, there are other ways of investment as well, wherein the money can work for you. You don't have to really work for the money, but you can make the money earn more money for you. So therein then we were exposed to a field of mutual funds, field of stock market. And initially I was very apprehensive because coming from a middle class family, and my father was typically, share market matlab satta hai and all those things. So that always echoed in my mind, and which never allowed me to venture into this field. But then I realized all of my friends, I mean majority of them, who were so-called financially more mature than me, and my corporate friends as well, they were all into this. Then I was more inquisitive to know as to how this system works, what is share market, what is mutual fund. So slowly I ventured there as well. I started investing through some of my friends, through banking systems. Well, we all have our own banks wherein we invest our money, and the bank system has their own investment
Yeah.
arm to them. So therein, I used to invest through them as well. Then there are some apps available now. So yeah, so the way I used to invest the money into markets was also very fractured. It was not very structured, and it didn't have any head or tail. I mean, one fine day, if I had a chunk of money and I felt, I just used to go through the best performing mutual funds, and whichever fund was best performing, I used to just put my money there. And eventually I realized, well, this is not the way it is supposed to be done. So before you guys came into my life and you knocked some sense into me, and you made me realize how actually the finances can work for you, how the things have to be charted out from the point of view of the financial goals which you should actually sit down and chart before even thinking about investing your finances. I was in quite a bad shape. But thanks to you guys, now I am quite settled, and I know that I'm in safe hands now.
It's interesting you should say that, because I think most doctors would feel that this is the only way to invest. And I think it's only after you sit down and are open to having a chat where you understand that, investing is not all about मैं कहाँ पैसा डालूं.
Right.
And our approach is pretty much like a doctor's approach, that before you jump into what should you do, you take a step back and think, why should you do it in the first place?
Absolutely.
So the why is more important, and I think we are fortunate now that we have a very vibrant fraternity of doctors. We have more than 200 plus doctors.
Wonderful, I know.
Yeah. And I still remember our first meeting. So when we met, and we met through a common friend who was in financial services industry, and he asked you to meet us. And I remember the first meeting itself, we kind of, there was a mindset match, that we were very comfortable. There was mutual respect, and I think an openness to the whole process of understanding finance in a different way, and not just the typical way we've been trained or how it's been marketed.
So after MFA came into my life, I realized what a fool I was as far as my financial understanding was concerned, and the way I was treating my own finances. Well, it's like, you going to a specialist after taking many pills for your so-called some ailment which you had and which you're not able to understand. And when you go to a specialist and he diagnoses and he treats it well, and then you are assured that, okay, from henceforth, any problem, and I'll go to this particular guy because I know I'm in safe hands.
Correct.
So now after coming with MFA, I am assured that my finances will never really, I don't have to look at my finances as to how to manage them, because you guys are there to take care of it. My each and every goal has been prioritized. My each and every goal, it has been charted. And I know I've got sufficient amount of money for that particular goal. Not only that goal, for emergencies as well. So I don't have to really think about my finances now for the rest of my life.
And I think one very important thing for you was creation of wealth, because you were selling your practice. You were going to get a big chunk of money. So it wasn't that I have enough, I don't need, a coach in my life. In fact, that was the time when you actually said, now I need a coach in my life.
Coach, yes. With the bulk of money coming into picture, you really need somebody to guide you as to what to do with that money, how to invest it. Not only invest it, the tax implications of the same. I was put in through you by into the tax consultants as well. We worked out with them as far as the capital gain tax is concerned. So these all really helped and opened my eyes wide. And had I not gone through them, I would have been a mess. And yeah, you guys helped a lot.
We did a lot of calculations and stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I know there is a difference between knowledge, experience and wisdom. So knowledge is you read, you have the knowledge. Experience, you're practicing it. But years of practice and ups and downs takes you to the wisdom. So I'm sure, in the doctor's practice, when I have met so many doctors, you go to a doctor because you see the experience and the wisdom. Similarly, I think in our field, when it comes to, investment planning, that plays a key role. And you have very nicely articulated this, because that is something which gets missed. So if I have met 2,000 doctors, I have had about maybe 200 people who have the same mindset as we do. And I think that's where it really works. But one more question. Tell me something, why, if practice valuation and selling of your practice is of so much benefit that you see now, why do doctors don't think about it even? Or, forget valuation of practice. They don't even think about selling off their practice. They might be only okay to just, shut down their clinic and be okay, or look at it as a real estate and just sell it off as a piece of real estate. So why do you think that happens? And secondly, for which specialities you think practice valuation and selling off will really work?
So I feel henceforth, very few specialties should go into merger and acquisition as far as the corporate types are concerned. One is going to be dermatology, if I'm not mistaken. Second, ENT. Ophthalmology, we are already there. Infertility centers are already a norm now. Laboratories, diagnostics, they are also a norm now. Radiology, MRI centers, CT scans. So all in all, centers which don't deal with in-house patient admission,
Right.
centers which don't deal in ICUs, these all fraternities should go in for M&As henceforth.
And right now you're saying Opthal is where most of the mergers and acquisitions are happening. Dermat should be the next one in line. And IVF is also...
It's also happening now. It's still happening now.
Okay. So, Doc, where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Well, coming 10 years, I'm already with Agarwals. I'm going to work with them for 10 years now. And I'm very happy to do that. I'll be doing only 8 hours of my practice, and the remaining time I'm with myself. And thereafter, I'm on my own. If at all I want to continue with them, I will continue with them as far as the professional aspect is concerned. Otherwise, I'll be doing my own work, which I like doing. I'm into singing now. I've taken up singing again, and Hindustani classical again. I've taken up learning Sanskrit again, which I had left a long time back in my college. I'm learning Upanishads again. I'm learning Vedanta again. I'm into meditation. I'm into marathon running. So many of my facets of personality, which I was not able to polish earlier because of dearth of time, being a professional. Now I got ample of time to do that, and I'm doing it very happily.
But you know what? A lot of doctors I speak to, they say we will never retire because I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for them, the word retirement is something they don't want to deal with. But yes, what we are talking about is financial freedom. So you are free to do what you want to do, and you're doing only because you want to, not because you have to.
Yes, true that. Retirement for doctors is like, if I can put it very gloomily, it's like death. Nobody wants to speak about it. They know it is there. They know that's going to be there ultimately. But then they don't know what is to be done thereafter, because they can't see what is going to happen to them after they retire. So it's better for everybody to start thinking right now and put the life in proper perspective. And it's possible only if you have broadened your mind to look beyond your professional self.
So, Doc, we have a rapid fire round right now.
Oh, this was not told to me.
No.
Okay.
Okay. So now I will tell you a word and you have to say the first thing that comes into your mind. Okay? Number 1, happiness.
Meditation.
Money.
Freedom.
Life.
Too vast. You have to live it.
Coach.
Guide in need and otherwise.
Okay. Your next goal.
I'm going to do a triathlon soon.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
That was lovely way to end this conversation. Thank you so much and wish you all the best in your endeavors.
My pleasure. And thanking you to make me a part of this milestone podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.